Hello, everybody. Good to see you again. Have I ever been off? Have I been released from this detention yet? Good to see you, everybody. Welcome, one and all, to the weekly. I can never say this. I'm like Jonathan Ross, aren't I? To the weekly wrap of what broke in the world of woke. And we are live too, so share your views, send us topics. Let's unwind as we rewind again. I told you on the week that was woke together. Now, oh God, there's so many items tonight, as per usual. Having been away, you know, I've really saved it up. That's not the one. Let me just get up. I love this bit. Garbage was laughing the other day about this, wasn't he? Because I got the wrong one up. Right, okay. So that was the week that was woke. All right, so you can see some of the items tonight. Now, again, Doctor Who and woke seems to coalesce currently. So we've had RTD feeling free to rant. Does he do any other style? And Barrowman cancelled for his time in the show. Now, we've talked about this before, but he's obviously given another interview of more recent note. We have Thomas the Tank Engine. Did you know? We're right on the cutting edge here. Thomas the Tank Engine goes woke. We have some serious law changing and legislation, including the banter police in pubs. Snow White meltdown continues. It's all here, so do join us. Like and subscribe. There's 2 channels here. You've got Rachael and you've got myself. So please look after us both. You know it makes sense. As I said, that's been a busy week. Am I ever off this blooming thing? Am I addicted by any chance? Do I need to see a doctor? Not that one. Look out for our Bigenerate show this week. It was a very, very feisty and tasty one. But look at the topic. I mean, hello. And we had the detox hour this morning. Yeah, just this morning. I've just recovered. Great laughs. I have to say it's one of the funniest we've had. Real good laugh this morning on the Doctor Who detox. The lads were in really good shape and we really, really let rip on a few things. So please take a look at that after this. And we also had excerpts from Chris Eccleston's season 1 this morning. I've learned how to edit a lot better and everything. So take a look at that, please, later on, especially if you want to laugh. And of course, we have tonight, as you know, if you're new to this, I'll just explain it. We go through an awful lot of woke items of the week. Since I was in Belfast last week, the fortnight, so that's a nice easy one. And me and Rachael will judge the wokest of them all at the end of the night. You can join in on that. We all have our preferences as usual. These are the items that I'll show Rachael in a moment, but I'll more of that in a, well, you can take a look at them there. The BBC apologising to Eddie Izzard. The Oscar committee members appalled by woke nominees. There's a load there. So I can't go any further. I can't decide who the weakest of the wokest of the week are or is without my co-conspirator of the woke to decide, the queen of the woke herself, who has a greater sense of decorum and regality than this Boro bloke with his working class worldview. Don't worry, Rachael. She won't shout, but she will chat about it. And you know she's got her own channel. Here she is. Red carpet is now unfurled. Hiya, Rachael. Oh, and she's just dropped out at that point. Did you see that? She's just dropped out. I'll get her back, don't worry. So I would suggest I just start. She'll tiptoe back in a moment. I wonder what happened there. Isn't that strange? It's unusual for her. She's normally got everything ship-shape. Now, while she gets herself together, and she will be back, she's pretty professional at this sort of thing. Thomas the Tank Engine's new friend is homeless. Kenyan train developed after advice from the United Nations. Let me just say that again. Thomas the Tank Engine. Yeah, do we remember that? I got the whole set. The Reverend Audrey. I mean, absolutely kid stuff. And as you can see here, you've got Naya, the homeless Kenyan train. Thomas the Tank Engine is to introduce a homeless Kenyan train to teach children about refugees. I mean, yeah, I don't think the Reverend Audrey is about to do any more Thomas the Tanks. Thomas the Tank is a great British kind of fictional institution. Why? Why do we have to have this? Is it necessary? Why do we have to have a train that represents anything? I thought they were just friends and a few enemies. I like Percy. What's all this about? Absolute nonsense. I am in shock. I mean, am I playing this, everybody? Now, Rachel is here. Let me just get her back on. Rachel, I think, Rachel, you went into a tiz when you realised that Thomas the Tank Engine's now gone woke. Now she's mute. She's nearly getting there. She's nearly getting there. I'll leave her hover while she kind of works this out. She's got the camera on, but not the... it just says camera at the moment. Anyway, I'll keep going while we've got Gremlins on a Friday. Who'd have known? So, am I... Well, Paul Mabley's saying, is this a joke? Well, I find these so easily, I sometimes wonder what the hell's going on. I don't look hard, Paul Mabley. They just get thrown at me. And then Evan Miller is helping me out here. Oh, yeah, they introduced her back in 2018, replaced Edward, and people were not happy. You see, there's always truth in these things. You don't have to dig too far to find this nonsense. John Yulden, I remember Michael Palin seeing down trains in Africa that had been left to rust in the desert, so at least it'll be accurate. Rachael, we've got your fringe now. We're making progress, but we haven't got your voice. So, so Rachael, you keep working at that. I don't know what's happened, but she's it's just the camera at the moment, but not her voice. So, while she's working at it, I will keep going just to keep everybody entertained. So there's good old Thomas the Tank Engine, who's now been wokified. Is there a verb for this? And then, of course, we've got Shakespeare's birthplace is to be decolonized after white supremacy fears. And this is another of the killer ones. So, while Rachel is still trying to work out whether the buttons work, because she's never had this problem ever. Yeah, Farsight, you're paired, so that might mean you're on the other stream. That's why you can't see people. They're all on the sensory one. Shakespeare's birthplace to be decolonized after white supremacy fears. Trust in Stratford-upon-Avon warned the bard's genius could be seen as a symbol of British cultural superiority. Shall we just untap this for a second? And there's a bit more detail in my second piece here. Shakespeare's birthplace to be decolonized over fears his success benefits the ideology of white European supremacy. The thing I don't understand is, I mean, I've taught how much Shakespeare? I'm sure you've all been taught Shakespeare yourself. Everybody's heard of Shakespeare. I mean, he's a cultural icon for Britain and for writing and for, great plays and psychology and a lot. So let's just go through this for a second. So people are starting to think it might offend that somebody from England who's written some great plays, he wrote so many plays, he died by the time he was about 56. Why? Why is that a problem? Why is somebody who's successful, talented, and very skilled a problem? Why does that offend? And as they say here, because he represents white European supremacy. Listen, I don't care what the colour of his skin is. He does represent class writing. That's why we use him. Believe it or not, I'll give you a secret. As an English teacher and head of English, we didn't actually show grotty texts. We didn't teach kids how to do English with substandard English texts. We went to the best. We went to the classic writers. We went to those who were masters of grammar, syntax, and the choice of the English word. And now that's a problem. I tell you what, it would only be in our language that this would happen. I am stunned that this nonsense, this trite stuff. Now, to keep everybody posted, Rachael never has any technical problems. She's just decided to have one tonight. So as she's sorting herself out, hopefully not in a panic, we will continue because we can talk to each other. Kez the Drone, they hate anything white English being the best. And Kez the Drone, as you know, he's just an English writer. It's got nothing to do with anything else. It's just they don't want any representation of the British culture looking good. It has to be diminished. It has to be reduced. And yet we'll have other people who are foregrounded. I know this fine well. I was on the front line as an English teacher and we saw some texts I'd never seen in my life. Meanwhile, others were having to be dumped. As Garbage says, don't worry, people, we will edit this bit out later when we go live. I mean, you know it's live. Can you tell it's live? I mean, it might just give it away. Farsight, the quality of mercy is not strained. It drops like the gentle rain from heaven. Oh, you see, he's going to do some nice gentle prose for us. As Jeremy says, they just want to break up British society and British culture. Well, I have to say, it's not a conspiracy. I mean, what else are they trying to do? It really does worry. Now, let's just see. It just says, let's have a look. Hello, Rachel. Let's have a look. Hello, Rachel.
Okay, you're on that. Okay. Oh my goodness. Sorry about that, everyone. What a blimmin' nightmare. It's been doing that all week. Just trips all out.
It just trips, and I can imagine you've been through a right panic. It's awful when it happens, especially if it's a
Yeah.
life.
Yeah. No, it's been doing it all week, like to everyone in where I am and like next door and down there. So
Do you think it was because I mentioned that Thomas the Tank Engine has a Nigerian um, tank engine friend now called Nia? Oh, she looks as though she tripped again. I will keep going. I'll have to try not to. Hello. Oh, sorry. I know it seems to be
like
doing an
it
awful
keeps
thing at the moment.
I don't know what's going on. So I may be tripping in and out. I can't get it to work on my phone. It doesn't want to use the microphone.
Well, I'll use you now while we've got you there. Shakespeare,
Okay.
come on. You must have a position on the decolonization of Shakespeare's birthplace because we can't have white European supremacy.
Yes. Wait, sorry, when did this
Because they don't
happen?
like
I've not
anything.
heard this.
Yeah, 16th of March 2025. They're very worried about anything that's from the dominant British culture to actually be successful.
Oh, right, okay. Well, welcome to England.
Yes,
That's
where
all I can say.
we diminish our own cult. I mean, come on. If you're not going to mention Winston Churchill busts, you're not going to mention William Shakespeare, you're not going to mention Charles Dickens.
Yep,
They're all white, you know. It honestly, well, what
yep.
did they think they were? I mean, John Yulden's willing you on. This is as bad as Time Lash. It's cool. It's like Rachel is doing the end frozen screen from Police Squad at times. You see,
Oh, please.
you're giving people comedy. Um,
Oh,
so
comedy
anyway,
gold.
so there you go. It, it gets
I knew John would love it.
it gets me riled though, all this stuff, because it's nibbling away at our culture.
Mm,
To do what? To do what? What's the great scheme of things here? What is one? It's not called white supremacy. It's called a man who happens to have been white in a country that was very white, was very good at writing plays and poetry. That's what it's
yeah,
called.
which there's nothing wrong with that. It's like
No.
it's like a rewrite of history, isn't it? When you don't really need to rewrite it.
Yeah. And yeah, and as you're talking about rewriting of history, why do they have such a problem? History has happened. This is no longer a Doctor Who time machine. You cannot change history. It happened, it's over. So
Yeah.
leave it alone.
Yeah. We can
But
only learn from history.
well,
Need
you
to
can't.
change it.
The trouble is, you can't if they're blooming cancel it and erase it.
Oh,
That's the trouble.
that's true, yeah. Or they throw a statue into a river or something like that, you know. You just don't know with what they're gonna do these days, innit?
Yeah. So this is the National Trust, and I think they're making white European supremacy the straw man. It's not an issue for anybody in the world. It's just they've created this straw man
Mhm.
nonsense. Um, we've got that, and why is something that happens in our country that we should be proud of and we use in our education system, why should that be something that offends and is a problem? I do find this an absolutely crazy nonsense. I really do.
Oh, it's absolutely bonkers. It shouldn't be happening.
It
It's that
shouldn't. And go on.
they got this like sort of like a big issue with things like this. Yet Shakespeare is like he has black characters, doesn't he?
Yep.
In his plays anyway.
Othello.
Yeah, Othello. And I can't remember if it's Helena or Hermia, but they quite often argue that one of them is black as well because of the description of Raven or something. Now it could be the hair color or it could be the fact that she is black. I can't remember which one it is though.
Mind you, you with your acting background, what do you feel? You know, when they dabble with things, you know, we've all seen it. You might go to the theatre and it's a female Macbeth, and it's a.
Yeah.
What do you think of all this lot?
I mean, what when they do things like that?
Yeah, when they dabble, because actually, do you know what I mean? They are changing it. I know the director gets a nice excitement from it, but is it really necessary? And should it just be left as was?
Well, you can say left as is. The thing with Shakespeare is that really there's no stage directions. You're an English teacher, you would have probably read it. There's no stage directions in it. So they're pretty much free to go however they want, you know?
Yeah, that's
So
true. It
I said,
doesn't say it has to be a male actor or anything. It's
no,
just it
it
seems to
doesn't.
be a male character, though. That's the thing, isn't it?
It appears to be, but it doesn't say. So
It
they can get away with it. And also there's no copyright on it. So they can do whatever
yeah.
they want, I guess you could say.
I think
Um
I think we need a Doctor Who episode where he goes back in time, meets Shakespeare again, but this time he says to Shakespeare, write in your script that it needs to stay a male or a
yeah.
this or that, and just in case, because it seems to me anything where there's a vague area, as you're saying,
The
and they erase it.
the BBC made me laugh during the Black Lives Matter movement when they decided that they were going to air a recording of Othello at those bloody motorbikes, excuse me, of Othello on there, and they were raving about how the fact that in this pivotal moment of the Black Lives Matter movement, they had the first ever black actor to play Iago. And I'm like, really? In the most like multicultural, diverse piece that you could possibly put out there, and you're raving that you've got a black Iago. Like literally at this point, who cares?
Yeah, yeah.
Othello is black. It does not matter.
Now, on this decolonisation front, I found this as well, Rachel. I mean, the plot thickens, it gets worse. So, language and ethnic studies. This book is written in English, a linguistic vestige of settler colonialism and white supremacy in the United States. It is the language of the victors, and it was used to carry out our attempted cultural genocide. We recognize that when we use English to communicate, we are fundamentally bound by the politics of racism, patriarchy, sexism, capitalism, and colonization buried within the English language. I could go on, but I think the thread might melt down.
I think they might. I mean, isn't this common in every single language?
Do you know what? Let's just remind ourselves. Do you know what? When I went to Australia, we stopped off in Singapore and we did
Yeah.
one of those little mini tours. And when on one of the tours, this beautifully spoken Singaporean, and she said, "We don't have English in Singapore. We have the international language of communication." She said,
Okay.
"We don't call it English." And that was my first sign before it was called woke. I thought, all right, all right. Now we see it's called English, let's be honest, because of the etymology. This was the land of the Angles. And the Angles in England spoke Anglish. And then we called it English. So I'm sorry, but when people do this trite nonsense, they
Mm,
are butchering language history, the
mm.
lot.
Yeah.
And they're rewriting it. It's the land of the Angles, therefore it's English. You can't say it's not English. Well, what else is it?
But it's English straight up.
But we're not, we're missing the point, Rachel, because we're both white. I'm just pointing out
Oh,
something there.
yeah, sorry, I
We
forgot.
don't realize it's the, I mean, they say patriarchy, but I'm sure you're going, well, you use English. Do you feel as though you're being oppressed all the time by your own language?
No, I feel like I could communicate with people. I
It's
could I
mad,
could
isn't
use
it?
it for what it's for. It's madness, isn't it?
Yeah, you don't realize that every time you speak English, you are using symbols of oppression and sexism and everything. You are sexist.
Oh, no.
Oh, honestly, there's
Imagine
no logic.
there's no logic in it. Imagine if, like, when I was living in Japan and I would be speaking Japanese and I'd feel, "Oh, no, this is, so oppressive." It's not. But, God, no. If you apply that logic to one language, you've got to apply it to all the others as well.
Oh, Rachel, that is so racist. You know that the English has to just give in on every count at the moment. Honestly, I know. Everyone else can protect their languages and their culture, but we have to kind of get rid of all ours in the big dusty bin of
Yes,
history.
because we're the colonizers.
Oh, we're evil. Oh, the amount of colonizing I've been doing today. I think I've got at least 2 subscribers. But anyway, here we go. So, this is another one. I love Eddie Izzard. I used to
Mm,
love seeing Eddie Izzard. He
yeah,
was one of my favorite stand-up
yeah,
comedians, you know.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I have to say, sorry, Rachel, I have to say, when I used to teach in the 90s, the kids used to say, "Sir, you sound a bit like Eddie Izzard when you teach." Because I liked
Really?
him so much. I must have had some of his mannerisms at one
Mm,
point. And unfortunately, this has happened. And Eddie Izzard says he's now trans. Eddie Izzard. But the bit I don't understand, Rachel, is even before you talk about misgendering and mistakes and whether people should apologize
yeah,
for this, that, and the other, if somebody's called Eddie and you've already always known him as a man, even with the right will in the world, people are going to make mistakes.
yeah,
If he called
of
himself
course.
Wendy, there's half a chance. But when
Yes.
you're called a male name Eddie and you always have been seen as a male, people are going to make mistakes.
Of course they are. Of course they are. Was Eddie bothered by it?
Well, this is it. So, I mean, they had to apologise nonetheless, because as you know, we'll have had the Warriors out. J.K.
Uh,
Rowling's friends will have been out.
right, so basically Eddie didn't care, but who was it? Anita Anad?
Yeah.
She had to apologize. Now, if
Apo-
Eddie doesn't care, then it doesn't matter.
You see, misgendering is now a term, but nobody can prove whether you misgender by accident or deliberate. You can't, it's impossible to do that. You can't
It
get
is it is impossible because when you look at someone, you have there's like it's not even a second where you register what their someone's biological sex is. I can very clearly see that you're a male. You can clearly see I'm a female. You can do it just by looking at the jawline.
Yeah.
And your brain just automatically registers it. So you do it automatically.
But we see what the problem with Eddie Izzard, unfortunately, as well, to me, is part of his performances used to be, "I'm an action transvestite." He
Well,
used to
yeah, that's what I thought Eddie always was. Like out of everyone to say that, I'm trans, I'm least surprised by Eddie, but he always said that he was transvestite.
Yeah. And so does he have to apologize to himself? And does he have to apologize to all the people who say they were trans then when he was
Mm,
saying something that they would have found offensive? I can't keep up
mm.
with the English language. I hope somebody helps me with it.
I don't think Eddie cares, to be honest.
Oh, well, it's just that, I mean, Jeremy says that he's not his cup of tea. He was my cup of tea. He did some great performances for me. He had me really laughing. So I'm a bit up. It's sad this
Yeah.
where it's all ended up because she has become a laughing stock to many people, and that's a shame. That's a shame
Mm.
because he was an actor. Remember, he played
Yep.
male roles in
Yep.
Hollywood.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
It's very confusing, and misgendering is a vile label, I have to say, in most cases, because you can't prove any of that anyway.
He's always said that he was a man born in the wrong body.
Mm,
And
mm.
although he never transitioned, he didn't worry about whether he wore women's clothes or on men's clothes. He just wore whatever he wanted.
But he always made a joke of it.
Yeah.
I mean, anyway, so that
Well,
was that one. Still on the female front, I mean, you're the oppressor, remember? You're not oppressed, even though you're a woman. I mean, I'm sorry,
I'm
but you
sorry.
know, all these things. Look at this one. Can you imagine this? Deerfield Middle School administrators forced teen girls to change in front of a boy in school locker room.
Yeah.
Because we can't offend, can we?
No, we can't offend. One person's feelings doesn't matter. No, what? Sorry, I was going to come out wrong. A group of girls' feelings doesn't matter because of one boy. And not being funny, there's no such thing as a trans teen.
No, I think most societies have said wait till you're an adult.
Yes,
Um,
100%. Do what you want when you're an adult.
yeah. And so, but I don't have to say much here, do I?
No.
3 female administrators end up forcing younger females
Yep.
into an awkward situation on behalf of one boy. It's unbelievable.
That's not fair.
Sisterhood not in action.
No,
You know,
no, definitely not.
what happened to women's liberation and women's feminism if the women are actually being the oppressors?
Yeah, and being a teenager is difficult. It's hard work being a teenager. Lots of changes going on. You
Yeah.
know, there's got to be massive insecurities about that. This shouldn't be happening. This was in England, yeah. Deerfield, where's Deerfield?
Well, I looked it up. I don't know if it. I mean, there was an element that happened in Darlington.
Yeah,
With nurses. I
yeah,
don't know if this is in America because obviously county and all the rest. I don't know. Lake Community Gazette. I did try and look it up. I think we might have a mixture of an American story, and I wanted to tap into the fact this has happened in Darlington as well in the NHS, where
yeah.
women are
Shouldn't be
forced.
happening.
The women have been forced to get changed in a kind of ad hoc office, while the trans woman gets the female staff space. It's
Yeah,
unbelievable. And it seems to be that so we don't offend one person, the majority have to clear off. Oh gosh, it sounds like England, where our language gets butchered, our cultural icons get taken down, and if we speak up, we are bad people. Gosh, it's because we don't want to offend. It's got a great logic to it. This.
stop oppressing people.
We're coming up to our Doctor Who items soon, everybody. But yeah, there's another good one. Did you see this one, Rachel?
Oh, I did, yeah.
Yes. Universal Orlando Resort are casting. Oh, I wonder if I can go for the job. They want a female presenting actor now. I don't care about the height or anything. Female presented. This sounds like the Star Beast episode all over again.
Female presenting. Sorry, what's female presenting? Do you want a female or do you not?
But does that mean I have a chance? I really want to work for Universal Orlando Resort. So
It could be, yeah. Yeah.
if I present as a female,
You know, this is I've said on your streams in the past that casting has gone really weird and crazy. This is the type of phrasing that they put out.
yeah.
Yeah. And that's not even the worst of it. So yeah. I mean, come on.
But look, I can understand people. I think you can see people out there who are homophobic, are misogynist, are transphobe, right?
Mm.
But when are we allowed to, within those vague areas, ask questions like, so what is a female presenting actor? I don't want to sound funny in this moment, but I don't know if Eddie Izzard still has appendages and stuff like that, but wants to be considered as a female. So does that mean he's a female presenting actor? So therefore, he could get the job above a person who was born female and has always been female.
Well, I think really what the meaning is female presenting, as in, sorry, I've got something in my eye. My hair's irritating me. Female presenting as myself. Obviously, I'm too tall for that. Really, I'm 5'5", but
could you
like
present
myself,
as shorter? If it's all about presenting, you can act.
right?
You can act.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, maybe like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like female presenting, like myself, biological female, very much so. or non-binary female, if you know what I mean.
Well, yes, because that
Them,
Coronation Street actress today was in Dinner Lady. She's come out as non-binary now, hasn't she?
has she?
She has. I wish I could remember her name because I don't want to. It's
Twinkle. Was it
hmm?
Twink?
No, Shubna.
Oh, Shubna
Yeah,
Galati, something like that.
yeah,
The one who played Anita.
yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
Really?
She's non-binary now, so
Right.
I don't know if that means you get
Right.
more. Does that mean you get more roles?
It means that you're open to more roles, yeah.
Oh, good. Oh, do you know what? I feel a bit non-binary coming on. Um, I mean, come on. There's always a
Well,
scammer as well.
I say it means that you're open to more roles. It's a bit confusing because now they put um non-binary across male casting and non-binary across female casting. So which one can I go for?
Well,
Maybe I should just do that.
still in your ballpark of acting,
All right.
knowing that this was the issue. Let me show you this one. So we've had female presenting actors for a resort, but now we're going for this one. Did you see this? The rumors that Margot Robbie's Pirates of the Caribbean will have an all-female crew.
Okay.
Now, we've had female Macbeths and everything, but this is my other point. It says all-female crew, but what about if you were female presenting?
Wow.
And
Then you could, yeah, absolutely. You could 100% go for it.
so then it won't be a very worthy headline, would it, anymore?
No, not really. They should just drop the term female presenting. It's a horrible term. I don't like it.
Well, I mean, there's so many horrible terms to describe your gender at the moment, Rachel. I think it's
Mm.
disgraceful.
I don't ever see the term male presenting though. It's very
No,
weird.
no. And not to offend one person, 0.01% in the NHS, I will be asked the next time I go for an X-ray whether I'm pregnant. It's
Just
absolutely
say yes. See how they react.
I know, it's just absolutely stupid. So, that it's the butchering of the language I find is just so crazy. Now, again, on the acting front, we're building to John Barrowman and RTD for those who are getting all warmed up with their little trigger buttons. Did you see this item? Oscar committee, I'll go bigger.
Yeah, I did
Oscar
see
committee
this.
members so appalled by the woke nominees that abstaining from voting.
Yeah.
And then it showed you the categories, Rachel. Now you sound as though you know what you're talking about here. So I'll just mention a bit and then let you come flying in. At least 30% of all actors not submitted for Oscar consideration are from at least two underrepresented groups: women, racial, LGBT, blah 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 blah. So yeah, what do you know about this?
So what was going on with this was a lot of the films that were up for the Oscars this year, since they've introduced this new sort of quote unquote box checking list, were not actually deemed Oscar worthy, but that in the sense of how good they were, but they were by definition of what's on the screen seen as Oscar worthy. But a lot of people who were on the committee didn't like that idea. And I'm surprised that not more people are actually talking about it, because if they don't like this idea, and I don't like this idea, you've got a problem. And you've got to fix it.
You're
But
going
yeah,
to end up.
they just didn't want to vote.
You're going to end up with lots of worthy movies that nobody's heard of. You're
Mhm.
going to end up with them becoming more open to ridicule because people are saying, oh, well, it's won an Oscar, but that's because nobody watches it. It starts to become this silliness.
Yeah.
But Hollywood, I suppose they've been there a while. They're open to ridicule, all right.
It's like Emilia Perez, that film.
Yeah.
I didn't watch it, but apparently that wasn't considered Oscar worthy. Some people did watch it and they were like, that was awful. So, I mean, I don't judge, but you bumped Ariana Grande, who was a co-lead, down to supporting actress just for that.
Yeah. Yeah. Look, whether it's, like I said, Shakespeare's Birthplace, whether it's Thomas the Tank Engine, it seems to be at every level, culture and society are being eroded. And for what reason? It might offend, it might. And even with the Eddie Izzard case, the person themselves didn't complain, so there should be no issue. And even if Eddie Izzard did complain, that doesn't mean he's won the case.
No, of
This
course
is crazy.
not. I know.
It's just crazy. I don't
No,
know what's going on. Everybody doesn't want to offend anybody, but we can all offend Winston Churchill's family forevermore because our Chancellor, Rachel Reeves, has taken the painting of Winston Churchill down. He was a scumbag, you know.
oh, terrible.
He did absolutely nothing for Britain, I tell you. Absolutely
Disgusting.
disgrace. I mean, we really should get rid of him from our society. It's so...
Absolutely. Erase him. Gone.
Now, I've got an idea, Rachel.
Mm.
Why don't we replace our war leader who fought fascism and replace him with a tapestry of an unknown woman of colour? There you go.
Genius idea.
Because that won't offend anybody.
No, of course not.
I'm not offended at all.
No,
As
nor
a
am
British
I.
taxpayer and as a British citizen, I'm not offended by that at all. I'm not. Is it, you know, the decision is offending people,
Mm.
but they don't mind that because we're the wrong people.
Of course, yeah. Yeah.
So
No, we are the wrong people, so it's okay. It doesn't matter if you're offended.
when our great leader now, who would who's up there with Churchill, isn't he? He's high standard, Keir Starmer.
Of course.
And if Keir Starmer, I mean,
naturally.
he says there's no two-tier justice. There's
Right.
no two-tier society, I dare say. There's really. Do you
Really?
want a few more examples, Keir? Because you
Yeah.
putting your head in the sand, pretending you can lie all the way. Excuse me.
Yes, two-tier Keir.
Two-tier Keir who can't see or hear.
Yep.
I think we've got a rhyme going here. Yes, Keir, your Chancellor has erased Churchill. And Keir, remember you got rid of Mrs. Thatcher because as a man you felt a bit oppressed by her, bless. He was oppressed by a woman, Rachel.
I know. How? Oh, I got no sympathy for him.
Well, Rachel, you don't understand that a lot of us men who aren't toxic are finding life hard and we can't cope with it.
No. They don't need to pull these paintings down. It's just like, even if you don't like Churchill, you can learn from Churchill, you know, the do's or the don'ts or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I
It
know.
doesn't need to come down. You could always put that tapestry up next to Winston Churchill
Well,
if you really want to.
if we're doing this amazing merging of societies, I'm assuming that while Britain gets rid of anything that they used to be proud of, the other countries that maybe have women of colour might be getting rid of their women of colour stuff and putting up white men and doing that lovely bed. Oh, sorry, what's that? They're not doing that. It's just us, is it? Oh,
It's just
right,
us,
okay,
yeah.
that's fair.
We're the ones that are recognising the social injustices.
Oh, yes, because we want to be pious and virtuous, don't we?
Absolutely.
Well, some of us do. Some of us couldn't give a toss. So there you go. Has it got everybody salivating yet? We haven't got to RTD yet. And for those of you who think, oh, I couldn't give a damn about this anymore, I'm going to the pub. Well, hello, the Labour Party are on it again. Legislation came through, didn't it? Let's have a look. They all voted for it because they've got such a massive majority. Vow to free speech as they vote for banter police in pubs. In the latest assault on free speech in Britain, remember, Keir Starmer in the Oval Office argued back with JD Vance and said there's no two-tier justice in Britain and everybody's got free speech. Oh, really?
We don't. We don't.
We don't.
No.
I'm scared of what I'm saying now half the time. MPs last night voted for a controversial new bill that could see an end to banter in pubs. Because as you know, do you know what, Rachel? Banter is a bit working class.
Is it? Oh,
And working
sorry.
class is where the scumbags are because they may have voted Brexit and they may just say what they think. And they've not bought into all this virtuous nonsense. They need to be shut up.
They do. Yes. No, they don't. Really, they're serious about this, aren't they?
They voted it through.
Yeah. That's scary. That's terrifying.
Well, our human rights lawyer, Prime Minister, let me just say that one more time. Our human rights lawyer, Prime Minister, who has been very bothered in his career about asylum seekers' human rights and the human rights of somebody who has only just appeared in Britain seems to not want to prize the human rights of those who pay his wages. Let me just get that right. Am I right?
Yeah, no, you're right. I can't believe this. This is ridiculous. They,
Rachel,
they're going to like target every single pub, but banter is just that. It is banter. Most of it is harmless.
humour,
Yeah.
social bonding.
Oh my goodness, my dad will be nicked in a hot minute.
Well, I'll meet you in jail. Shall we all meet in jail next week, everybody? I think jail might be a fun place at this rate if we're all in there.
Yeah,
Well, it saves on accommodation costs anyway,
it
doesn't it?
would. Yeah, absolutely.
But this
I
is
mean, you've already paid for it anyway with your taxpayer money, so we'll
ah,
worry about it.
but this is the other thing. Can I just point out another thing from our human rights lawyer, Prime Minister? He represents Labour, and Labour used to represent the working class.
Yes,
And a lot more working class will love going to the pub to do some banter.
yes.
And he seems to be telling the people who voted for him, and he represents, because some of them are oppressed, that they're better shut up.
Here's the thing about Labour, right? I actually think Labour are far more right wing than they ever used to be. They just go around it sort of the long way around.
The
That's what I
smart
think.
ass, yeah, they
Yeah,
try and be smart ass with their answers.
absolutely.
But actually, how different are they from all the fascists they say they've been fighting? I tell you what, they've been cozying up to China at the moment, that great bastion of
Yeah.
free speech.
We don't have free speech here in the UK. It's called, what's our speech called? It's different, isn't it? It's freedom of freedom of expression.
Yeah,
That's what we have.
yeah,
And it's not quite the same. I wish we did have a bit like what the Americans had in many respects.
yeah. It would protect us. Well, it certainly would protect us a lot more.
Yeah, we
Archie
have to really
Collin,
dodge around on our channels. We have to be careful.
yeah. Archer Collin, human rights lawyer, quoting me. Remind me again what Sherry Blair did for a job. Sherry Booth.
Eh,
Yes. Oh, that seems to be the great thing to do. Nearly everybody high up now has to have been a lawyer. But you ask Keir Starmer a question. Now, you know lawyers love to ask you questions and they like to
Yes.
entrap you in court. You ask Keir Starmer a question, you won't get an answer.
No, I know.
Isn't it funny how lawyers like asking but don't like answering?
It's very interesting. Do you know, my dad actually said that he would be a bit apprehensive about having Cttee in power. I asked him why, and he said, well, he was debating Rishi Sunak and he flummoxed under a question from Rishi.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, I mean, he might be seen as the highest lawyer in Britain,
Mm.
apparently, but he doesn't look as though he's got much great thinking going on, and he can't think on his feet. So anyway, there you go. Britain's doomed. And the other thing that showed us that Britain is doomed. Now, this is while I was away in Belfast, Rachel. You'll have seen
Okay.
this. And Paul Embry, he's no Tory. He's a union rep, isn't he, for the fire union, really? This is staggering. It seems that courts in England and Wales have been instructed to obtain pre-sentence reports in all cases where the offender isn't white or Christian. And of course, if anybody, especially our Aussies and Americans and Canadians, want to see this, this is all true. A pre-sentence report will normally be considered necessary if the offender belongs to one or more of the following: from an ethnic minority, cultural minority, or a faith minority. So if you were a Christian in England, no, doesn't count. But if I suppose you're Muslim or Hindu or Jewish, yes, you count. And it carries on. And so basically, two-tier justice.
Well, yes, 100%. I vaguely remember seeing this and I was like, what? No. Everyone should get the same sort of treatment.
Yes.
I have issues with this also because it also skews the numbers and all of that.
Yeah, well, there's so many patterns to this. I
Mm.
heard a brilliant explanation of this, that they said that the statue outside the Old Bailey is Lady Justice blindfolded.
Mm.
And this pre-sentence reporting of certain minorities takes the blindfold off so the law can decide who it picks on.
Yeah,
It's
this is wrong. This is wrong.
And people have to start. I mean, I might be just doing a daft little show with Rachel here, but I have to say it's more important than that. Uh, our rights and the way we operate are all being undermined by people who I think are trying to be virtuous, but I think there's more sinister things going on, to be quite
Mm.
honest, because all the cases I'm showing you, if you join them up, this is an assault.
Yeah. And look, some of this was already happening anyway underneath the Conservative Party, and it's just ramped up even more
Yeah,
under the Labour Party.
yeah. I agree. Both sides have been, like we talk about a mono party now,
Yeah,
don't we?
yeah, they're one of the same, basically. Like I said just a minute ago, Labour just takes the long way round.
Yeah. So, John Yulden, we have hit the end times for this country, sadly. It does have that feeling to it, John, doesn't it? It just, you try and cheer yourself up and you can try and hide with your escapist Doctor Who, and then suddenly Doctor Who becomes a problem. And all of a sudden you're going, well, where do I hide? Where do I hide? You go and watch a soap opera and it's full of certain representation and virtuous messaging. So there's nowhere to hide. Garbage. So white men are going to get harsher sentences. That's the way it seems to be stitched up. Um, you know, I have so many examples tonight, but I'll get to the Doctor Who ones now. But I tell you what, if everybody stays with us, you will find this is getting quite worrying. Okay, Rachel, our friends, John Barrowman and RTD.
Right. Yes, so you have to fill me in a little bit because I've been doing some different content on my channel, not specific to Doctor Who. So I know, sacrilege, innit?
How can you
It's,
do that?
well, I've got all the Snow White stuff going on at the moment. So I haven't paid all that much attention. I've seen some things for RTD. What's going on with John Barrowman?
Right. On this person tweeted and obviously doesn't agree with what John Barrowman said. So in a nutshell, everybody, these are the edited highlights for somebody who's not happy. He said, we didn't have an intimacy coordinator back then. No one complained. I wouldn't do it now. It was a different time. I don't regret anything nonetheless. So, which is, as you know,
Yeah,
in Doctor Who, when he was Captain Jack, it was well known. All us fans heard the stories that he sometimes got his appendage out. Now, he does explain a bit more detail because he was interviewed by STV and they give him quite a hard time, actually. Now,
yeah,
maybe that's good or bad, but it's that classic thing, something that happened 15 years ago,
yeah,
and then you get a virtuous reporter going, but this was flashing, wasn't it? And of course, it was a close set when he was naked in front of the Trini and Susanna robots, for example. So that's not flashing if the script says he has to do that because RTD wants him to do that. But anyway, there you go. So anyway, John Barrowman, I don't regret anything. Everyone on set was having a laugh. Now, I know we can break this down, and we will do, but I'll just show you a page at a time, Rachel, and let you have a little dip into it, because you'll have, and you have given us more insight before, because we have discussed parts of this where you said, well, you know, sharing a change room, blah, blah, blah. So he says he doesn't regret anything about his past behavior. He has apologized, remember, at the time. So I think he's trying to say, I don't have to keep going over, surely. Speaking to Scotland Tonight, the actor and presenter said he had been left completely blacklisted in the entertainment industry following allegations of misconduct on Doctor Who and Torchwood. And he defends his behavior. So that one is just like the standing position. Okay, so far, Rachel?
yeah, yeah.
So then he goes into a bit more detail. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So it was meant to be a closed set. And I would say, leave me here and let's save time. I'll just stand here and it'll save time that I don't have to go back, have to change. Then you have to bring me back and we have to start all over again. So I would stand there. If I was in a nude scene, completely naked, and if somebody walked on set, which they weren't supposed to, or they were, I might just do something like jiggle it about. And it was nothing outrageous. I just didn't see it as outrageous. It was a different time. Thoughts so far?
Well, closed set means that nobody should really be walking onto that set. It's a closed set for a reason. In this case, obviously, if he's standing there butt naked. However, he should have a modesty cup, which covers his hoo-ha,
Yep.
his danglies. That's what he should have.
So whose fault do you blame? Right, okay, John Barrowman's in the dock, so to speak.
Yes.
But he's not in charge of the company who's employing him and all the other staff. So honestly, where does the buck stop here?
Well, he shouldn't be messing around, right? Okay, because obviously that is inappropriate. But the buck does stop really with the BBC or the producers of the show. They shouldn't be letting people walk around on the set.
But if you say there should be modesty cups and that
Yeah,
would be accepted, I
yeah.
assume he hasn't been given one or he's refusing to wear it.
He can't refuse to wear it. He has
So,
to wear it.
so therefore, I still try and work out how this has actually happened more than once.
Well, I don't know, did they? I mean, I wasn't qualified by that point. Would they have had modesty cups back then? Theoretically, yes, they should have.
I mean, I can see
It
why
shouldn't
they are
shouldn't
intimacy
be
coordinated now
totally
sometimes, but
well, yeah, because of things like that
yeah,
happening. Yeah.
yeah.
Um, he should technically be covered anyway.
Where do we stand
It's
on
not it.
what was that? What were you? Because you like your musicals. I just can't remember the name. It was in the 70s and they were all naked on stage.
Was it hair?
Hair.
Mm,
So I'm not trying to be daft and dim here, but if you have a theatre production where actually part of the performance is you will see nakedness,
yes.
and then we've got somebody who's been blacklisted because while he was in his naked um closed set, he touched it. Where are we going with this, really? Because
I
I would
don't
have thought
know.
it seems to me we're in the same ballpark, really.
Yeah.
Pardon the pun, but we are.
Right, so the thing is, if he's got his danglies out, he should be behaving himself, right? So he shouldn't be touching it. So in that sense, that stops with him. He shouldn't be messing around with it, right? But no one should be encouraging him to do it. No one should be walking in onto the closet. Everyone should know, basically, behave yourselves. He is right. It was a different time back then, but I'm not going to make excuses for it.
Yeah.
But people really should say something at the time if they've got an issue with it. Not leave it to come back all this time later for
Well,
then
this
to
is
have someone blacklisted and never work for the BBC again.
yeah, and actors have faced this a lot. Now, you might say this is less serious than, for example, it is accepted
Yeah.
that women can withdraw consent from a sexual act years later.
Mhm.
It's accepted there. It is hard, this looking back on history and then changing things, isn't it? I find it very hard because you can only deal with the moment at the time, so to speak. And when this comes to fads and Me Too campaign in acting, you think, well, he got away with it at the time because he got away with it at the time. I mean, he did get told off, I think, by Julie Gardner, and he said
Mm.
sorry. And I think after that, it never happened again. So I'm not quite sure why this is even an event now.
Oh, because it's part of cancel culture.
Which I think both of us hate that, don't we?
Oh,
We just
yeah, we do. This is not fair. If it's been dealt with at the time, then really it shouldn't be brought to light again. Doesn't need to be, but someone's obviously seen fit to do so.
I find it funny when you think of Chris Eccleston wants the Bad Wolf team sacked, and Chris Eccleston hasn't done anything like this. Then you've got John Barrowman, who seems to be not
Yeah,
in speaking terms with any of the same Bad Wolf
yeah,
team, and you just start to get this vibe that that time was it good management or really bad management, or were they so busy
yeah.
trying to make the stories work that
Mm,
they weren't really doing all of it?
I'm wondering if there was bad management. You know, we've got no the issues with Noel Clarke, we've got the issues with John Barrowman, and we've got Christopher Eccleston, who is
Yeah,
actually starting to come out and start to say
yeah,
things, and that's worrying. It's worrying, and it shouldn't be that way. It shouldn't be that way.
no.
No, it's
So
not right.
Paul,
It's not right.
So Paul Stenterford, John Barrowman should never have been asked to appear naked on set and Doctor Who. I suppose, Paul, the thing is, Rachel, having been an actress and still an actress, will say there are times when it's acceptable to do, but there's ways around it.
Yes, absolutely, and you should actually have a chaperone with you. And he should have a dressing gown.
Yeah, I mean that's
That's just common sense. Have a dressing gown.
now he does go into a bit more detail, so I'll show you this to be fair to you. Accusations that he had repeatedly, and Boomer Doug was saying this, exposed himself on the sets of the shows came to light in 2021. A certain friend from the same cast gave it away because he was under pressure. Asked by Scotland Tonight presenter Rona Dougal if his colleagues agreed that his behaviour was simply silliness and a bit of a carry-on, Barrowman said nobody complained. Right. And then
they have now.
They haven't. Well, they haven't actually. In a funny sort of way, what they've done is they've spragged on him. Do you know what I mean? I don't know if I'm aware of any staff members complained. They did at the time. Let's be honest, because Julie Gardner had a word with him. But we know the person we're talking about is just saying it, I think, to pull somebody into the same trouble he's in, I think.
You don't think that a certain producer might have also encouraged it?
Well, look at the scripts. The moment he had to be naked in front of the Trini and Susanna robots, there's a joke about where he hid his gun.
Yeah.
So we had a bum joke written by the great RTD, who's written other stuff like Cucumber and Queer as Folk, which had a certain sexual act with a 15-year-old and an adult man.
I wonder if he fancied Mr. John Barrowman.
Well, the lines are even better than that, because the answer is interesting, because there were lines like, you are this kind of country western homeboy with the tight white top, and the dialogue seemed to be saying, you are very fanciable, like that. Yeah.
He's putting himself and his wants and his desires into it.
Oh, do you think that's ever happened since?
Oh, I think. I mean, I don't know.
I mean, I did show you that writer's tale couple of pages where he said he fancied Russell Tove and he wanted to see him in rehearsals.
That's true. That's true.
Yep, it's in the writer's tale, folks.
And now Russell Tovey is working for the War Between the Land and the Sea, which was too long.
Yeah. And maybe the intimacy coordinator's title's too long, but maybe they're needed. Stephen Braddock, the more that comes out from behind the scenes, the worse it sounds the management was on Doctor Who. And do you know what, Stephen Braddock? Who's the management now? The same people.
And look what's happening now.
But isn't it, Rachael, this is kind of our country in a nutshell. People who might mismanage or don't do very well, they tend to get promoted. And then in this case, Bad Wolf come back richer. RTD comes back richer and more powerful. And yet they apparently weren't that very good the first time round.
Yeah. It's amazing what you hear. I reckon we're probably going to hear more over the next few years.
Oh, well, if there's no season 3, that might fill our streams.
It might do.
Especially a book. Oh, can somebody please write a book? I will read it. Dalek Lives Matters. Barrowman did say that he refused the usual procedures and the messing around on set was his idea. He must have been in an environment where he felt he could get away with it. Lads, that sort of thing. It might be.
Maybe.
It might be.
But all the usual procedures, they should have put their foot down with that.
Yeah. So, I mean, now here we go. I don't regret anything. And I have to say, when people say that, I actually know if you regret things, then you're on a slippery slope sometimes, aren't you? Because then you know your career's over or stuff like that. So I understand. He's saying, well, I don't regret anything. I mean, it's happened now, and he's apologized. It was something that was stupid and silly, and it was done. I don't look back and go, because at that time everybody was laughing, everybody on the set was having a laugh. Later in the interview, Barrowman discusses the toll the allegations have had on his mental health. I've contemplated taking my life a couple of times. I've driven out to the desert in Palm Springs and sat there for hours upon hours thinking of different ways to do it that would be quick and easy. And to be honest, you don't know where people are with this, but I understand that in 1984, you had Room 101, the worst torture you could face. But ultimately, and every authoritarian society does this, You don't actually have to execute people. You just accuse them of paedophilia, or you accuse them of something that wrecks and destroys their reputation.
Mm.
Now, he's been accused of flashing or stuff like that, and it's diminished him, and therefore he's saying that where do you recover from that? It's sad.
It is sad. And I think the only way that he could is someone actually giving him the benefit of the doubt and unblacklisting him.
Well,
If
I'm sure all these people have "be kind" on their profile.
Oh, I bet they do. If they I don't know. I don't know what I was gonna say.
Put it this way: if the worst thing he did, and I'm ready for Rachel to push back if she thinks I'm being too light on it. I appreciate he shouldn't have done it. I've never done anything like this in any of my jobs, so I'm not quite understanding why he thought it was acceptable. But I've never been an actor, so I don't know. I can't speak for that world. You do sometimes wonder in London, etc., etc. However, it's not the worst thing he could be accused of, is it, Rachel?
No,
And
it's not.
I don't think, and please tell me if I'm wrong, Rachel, but I don't think this should actually merit being blacklisted from acting.
No, not entirely. All you have to do is just deal with it at the time, and then, like, once it's done, maybe if he gets fired or something like that, I don't know. I mean, I don't, like, begrudge him a job or anything like that, but just deal with it at the time, dismiss him, do what it is that you have to do, but you don't have to blacklist someone for something like that.
No. And may I just point out the bleeding obvious in all these cases, Rachel?
Mm.
Where's the court case? Where's the inquiry at the BBC? If he has not been presented with findings and evidence and gone through due process,
Yeah.
even human resources, then to be quite frank, cancel culture can go and jump. It's
Well,
disgusting.
look at what was going on with Giovanni Panice from Strictly Come Dancing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they actually went ahead and they actually gave due process to both of them involved in this particular circumstance. But it's actually worked out better because they did do that.
Yeah. There has to be. Come on, wait. This is Britain, for God's sake. Shall we just remember that we've got a human rights lawyer prime minister, and therefore everything should leak down,
Yeah,
and we should be all obsessed with legal
yeah.
process. So where's the legal process?
So the issue with actors, all right, this is me speaking from experience and witnessing things, is that they're all egotistical. They're all eyes on me, eyes on me. So they will do in the rehearsal room or on the set. They would do things that get eyes on them. Whether it's the right thing
Yeah.
or not is
Yeah.
debatable, but
The class clown.
yeah, it's
The
essentially the
court
class
jester.
clown. But the trouble is when you get like 50 actors in the room and you're doing that, that's it's chaos. It's chaos. Goodness me.
So we've got Cliff Maxwell. Good to see you, because I've not been in touch. I apologise for that. I will do it. Cliff Maxwell, let's be real. There's no blacklist. There's people with power who want to keep or enhance it. True. I mean, it's not an official blacklist. It's just that they decide not to appoint him and people want to keep away from him. It's all about association, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's all about protecting brands and stuff
There's
like
an
that.
official blacklist though for Hollywood.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, Tim Kins here, saying that it's time to forgive him would never happen. It would be giving up a means of punishing people and send a message that forgiveness can happen, which can't be allowed. And Tim, you're onto something here, because the other thing is, if there'd been due process, like if it was criminal, you might get 3 years, or you might get a suspended sentence and it goes on his record. Or if it was a management inquiry, there'll be evidence there that's there forever, and there'll be a set action and sanction. And when the sanction expires, that's it. However, when it's done by word of mouth, doesn't she look tired?
Mm,
I have to say, it is very, very ironic, Rachel,
yeah.
that the master craftsman in the dialogue of Christmas Invasion, Harriet did not get sacked with evidence of an inquiry or anything. The David Tennant doctor, with the words of our great RTD, just killed her with words by association that rumor, she's a bit tired.
Yeah.
And so RTD must agree with this association punishment thing and cancel culture, because he even wrote cancel culture into the script of Christmas Invasion.
Yeah. And it's also how he can obtain more power.
And he's got a lot.
He's got a lot, yeah.
Because do you know what? I
That,
don't want to be a
never
producer
mind.
like Verity Lambert. I want to be a showrunner.
Oh.
He increased his power immediately with one kind of flick of the pen.
I think Disney have ditched him anyway.
Well, we hear those rumors, and I think we're all kind of saying, please announce it. Please announce it.
Please announce it officially.
Yeah. I think that's why he's getting angry, and that's our next item.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's true, isn't it? I mean, so anyway, just to give John Barrowman due process, which he doesn't seem to be getting anywhere else, he pushed back on saying, no, David Tennant was the star. I was one of the companions. So it's not about me being the star thinking I can get away with murder. But everybody was doing outrageous, silly things. I mean, they called David Tennant something else, didn't they? It's just that they weren't dragged into this situation by a piece of lazy journalism and by a great friend. I wonder if they're on the same Christmas card list. After Dougal asked if his alleged misconduct on set was basically flashing, no. This is where it gets a little misconstrued. I was not walking around flashing people randomly and doing things like that. And then last little bit here. But then I talk myself out of it. I can't. Oh, sorry. He's talking about the suicide here. Sorry. So yeah, it's not flashing. It's just being naked in the first place and touching yourself.
Yeah, you shouldn't be doing that.
No, I suppose it's a different world to me, this acting lark, Rachel. I mean, have you ever, in all your acting, been in situations? When I mean situations, I'm just saying where rules just get a bit kind of eroded because it's a cramped space for change. You know, I mean,
yeah, been there, done that. It happens. They used to back then, which was when I was doing some of my training. When I was doing my course, they used to make us change in the same room as the men, and chaos, absolute chaos. And then we've also got actors, particularly who just think they are the bees and E's, and they'll just like storm out of a room or something like that because they're not getting their own way. I've seen directors do that as well, by the way.
On this point, by the way, Lee Smith, good to see you, says a straight male actor would have been fired on the spot.
Not necessarily.
I know the point he's trying to make, but did you find there was more leeway if you were a minority?
No, I think it was about the same.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So there you go, Lee. A fair point, and you've got the answer straight from Rachel.
Well, that was back then.
Yeah.
Now it's a little bit different. I haven't been inside a rehearsal room for over a year, so I wouldn't know at the moment. But yeah.
Now, Boomer Doug, who was on our detox this morning, catch it later. I do think Barrowman has been unfairly treated. At best, he was annoying. I don't seriously think many were offended. All you have to do is say, put it away.
They should have just given them a dressing gown.
I wish everybody has a voice. I mean, these people project on stage. These people are theatrical. These people play different roles. Couldn't they have just put on a role of being very bossy and said, put it away, stop it? But they can't, can they? Because it's all about, you actors are terrible. You always want an ensemble. We all need to get on for this great company spirit. Yeah. And you're all slagging each other off behind each other's backs.
Yeah. It's incredibly bitchy. It's true.
I know. So, and there's our Gadio icon.
Yeah.
I mean, I need a new poster behind me because I'm gay. Did you know that? I need a Gadio icon. I've never heard of Gadio, but Gadio icon he got an award for being him. Yeah, just being him. I know.
Amazing.
Let's worship the great one. So anyway, we all know, and the Bigenerates really looked at every comma of this. But Rachel, I wanted her opinion. I'll try and hold back, folks, so I don't want to keep repeating what I said on Wednesday. But Rachel, I'm dying to know your thoughts on RTD in front of an LGBT audience when they've just awarded him as their icon. He was playing to the public, and here's some of his great words. Here we go.
Let's hear it.
We've had bad prime ministers and we've had bad presidents before.
Mm-hmm.
What we have never had is a billionaire tech baron, unelected, openly hating his trans daughter and therefore weaponizing all of his power against us. We have never had this in the history of the world. It is terrifying because he and the people like him are in control of the facts.
I take it he's talking about the Orange Man.
I think so.
Mm-hmm.
The trans daughter thing. I don't know much about Elon Musk, but we have shared a friend in the past who is in this situation, and I think it can. I really empathise that if your daughter is suddenly a man and has had the operations and as a proud dad and a loving dad, you just can't deal with what you're seeing. It's not about hating trans, it's about hating what's happened to your kid and hoping it's the right thing. I think it's too complex to just RTD just to shoot from the hip like that. In fact, I actually find it quite cold.
It is cold. It is harsh. He's acting as if he knows so much about it when he doesn't.
No. Say you don't like Elon Musk, RTD. Just say
You
it.
can say that. Elon Musk won't be offended.
Why doesn't he just say, I disagree with everything Elon Musk is doing, instead of bringing a trans daughter into it and bringing Elon as a father into it, when actually I think RTD won't have done a lot of chats with him. I don't know RTD, so I never do anything personal about him. I don't know Elon Musk, so I don't do anything personal. I'll play the ball, not the man.
Was this award ceremony American or was it English?
It was in Deansgate, Manchester, near Canal Street.
So this what he's talking about has absolutely nothing to do with England, UK, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you know, he's not wrong. We've had bad prime ministers, but he doesn't. Other than that, everything else, what does he know about it?
And we've got Americans in the thread now. And I know it can get a bit kind of shirty if us foreigners just lay into their president or lay into their politics from afar. But we would equally feel the same if people just started dismissing our politics from afar, and maybe not with as much detail is possible. There has to be mutual respect of the institution, not necessarily the person. And I just think he's laying into that just to get some whoops from the audience.
Yeah, absolutely. It is the buzzwords, isn't it? It's the far left leaning buzzwords, I guess.
Yeah.
So
Now, Clifford Maxwell is the way he's describing it here. I have heard from somebody who I have shared a platform with online, and I do empathize. Cliff Maxwell says Elon Musk has described it as someone coming along and killing his son, then being told to love them for it. You're the dad, you're the man. It's hard. I can only imagine it's very hard to watch your beautiful daughter suddenly, as I was told, bald, look very different. You might be tested with your love, but it's hard. And I'm sorry, I wouldn't wade into this. I'd rather just say, I don't like the politics of Elon Musk or something like that, rather than getting so personal in a trans area. And of course, Rachel, it serves RTD's kind of headline making. I'm on the trans cause. But so is that dad called Elon Musk possibly as well. He wants the best for his daughter.
yeah.
And I just think it's low.
I also think that people forget that when someone says they're trans, okay, and they want to make this transition, people often forget that whilst it immediately alleviates any gender dysphoria that this person may have, the family around them are grieving the loss of the
Yeah.
person that they knew,
Yep.
and they have to go through a grieving process, and that is so much harder. So
And
much harder.
and
Not that I've got experience in it.
my example is similar to coming out.
Mm,
Some gay people who will fear the moment that their parents or friends might give a
mm,
hostile reaction.
yeah.
And the hostile reaction may be temporary, it may be
Yes.
shock. And who are we to judge from the outside how people react? And as I always used to say to the kids who come out, they choose when they come out most of the time. And
Yeah.
I used to say to the kids, if your mum and dad or somebody reacts in a way you weren't expecting or didn't like, let them breathe, because you have built up to this for years and
Mm,
picked your moment. Your mum and dad suddenly went, oh, I didn't know you were going to say that.
yes.
And so please let people breathe. But RTD has given Elon Musk not a second there. And I think it's a low blow, actually, for somebody
It's
who
a low
wants,
blow, yeah.
yeah, because RTD wants to teach and preach kindness.
Yeah, yeah,
But surely if you preach kindness, that applies to your enemies as well.
absolutely.
You know, come
100%.
on. We're a human race, RTD.
Yeah.
So anyway, Timkins. Oh my goodness, he's classing preventing your possibly gay child from medical intervention as controlling facts when the trans agenda relies on suppressing facts. I can't take RTD now. That's your viewpoint. It's a moot point even on YouTube, all this stuff. But the issue is, I take what you're saying, Tim, because it it's a family issue. Leave it alone and just say you don't like the politics of Elon Musk. I think that's more acceptable
Mm,
and actually more appropriate. I'm telling RTD, a man older than me
yeah,
and a man more powerful than me, how to behave.
absolutely. It's a personal issue to him, to Elon Musk, sorry. And it's just none of RTD's business in that sense.
No. Sonny Waffles here from Wisconsin. Ironically, as a writer, he chose not to see things from another person's perspective.
Yeah, it's very bizarre, isn't it?
Very
It's
selective.
seeing us writing is seeing it from a
But of course, he got some claps
other
in the
aspect.
hall, so I hope he felt good going home that night, because that's in history now forever, what he said. Paul says, RTD thinks that he's much better than the rest of us, which is why he feels he can preach his politics to the masses who he thinks are, lesser.
Yeah.
Okay, that was the beginning there, Rachel. And then he says, because he was talking, as you know, about
Yeah.
Musk and Trump, they're in control of information. They are in control of what people think. And that is what we are now facing, Rachel. But do you know what we'll do? Do you know what we're going to do? Do you know what we'll always do in times of peril and crisis? We gather.
Oh, so inspirational.
Oh, well, he carries on because, as you know, RTD likes to do groupings, and we meet in cellars at night. Ooh,
Oh,
and,
hello.
yeah, and we talk, and we plot, and we sing, and we paint, and we manifest ideas. We go on marches. And then this is my favorite bit, Rachel. We go on sponsor, and then he stops and goes, we do signatures. We attack. We talk to politicians. We organize ourselves. In the end, what we do is we educate. We take everything we know and we go out there and we educate.
What was he going to say after we go and sponsor what?
Yeah, I mean,
What is it?
maybe sponsored walks aren't acceptable anymore, or sponsored spellathons, or
Mm,
I mean, as you know, clearly unscripted,
mm, very.
clearly going off piste, clearly not scared of the BBC telling him off. Clearly, maybe he's already lost his job, so he doesn't give a damn anymore.
Oh, that's more likely.
All of the above.
Oh my goodness.
He doesn't say,
He
mind
don't
you,
have waffle on, doesn't he?
yes, he does. Yeah. Why use one word when you can use 100? But
Yeah.
the other thing, Rachel, is doesn't he sound like the Gary Lineker of Doctor Who?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry,
I don't really watch Match of the Day, but from what I've seen,
from his
yes.
tweets. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, then I'll be gender fair here. Where I've listed a man. What about this? He's the Carol Vorderman of Doctor Who.
Oh, aye. He gets on with Carol Vorderman though, doesn't he?
Oh, he will now because she's now back on the left after being on the right. Yes. She kind of blows with the wind a bit.
I think so.
John Yulden, he's a bitter man who is pushing a movement to have a crusade for himself in his later years. Well, yeah, it's called legacy, isn't it? It's all legacy, legacy, legacy.
Yeah.
So it's as good as a pension sometimes. Sean Cryer, you love your kids. How can anyone judge how they would react to something like that? Exactly. It's hard. I'm shocked. I mean, I'm not a parent, but I used to really work on the kids and say, look, your expectations of what might happen in
Yeah.
response might not be what you expect, but it
Yeah.
doesn't mean your mum and dad hate you. It might just mean your mum and dad weren't expecting it.
Yeah.
And people react in so many different ways. And sometimes they react in ways they didn't expect to react. So please, and there's me. I'm not a playwright. I'm not a script writer, and I'm not an actor. But I think I seem to be saying more common sense than he
Yeah.
is.
Oh yeah.
But of course, I'm not trying to educate. I'm just trying to make sure the kids have a decent experience.
Yeah.
Rather, he's just trying to kind of set them up for a fall half the time.
Yeah. Yeah. He. I can't remember what I was going to say. Yeah. I don't know.
But while you're thinking, Tim Kins has picked on this. We meet in cellars. Yeah, I know. Pretending he's tribe of the underclass. It sounds more like he's at some sort of gay nightclub. Your earlier story about two-tier justice shows it's literally the law now that his tribe are privileged. And it's the education bit. That's what Rory does the other day in the Bigenerates. We were saying it's well known he has said, get the kids while they're young. And it's well known that he said stuff like, and a lot of them do, which is, you need, because, you need to indoctrinate the kids with various things,
Yeah.
with different cultural history, blah, blah, blah. We know the score, we know the agenda.
Mm.
And educate, I find, is an interesting word to use because it's extremely pejorative. And educate, I know I educated on grammar and fiction, how to write sentences and how to pass exams and do well and be literate. I had no other agenda at all. However, thank God he wasn't anywhere near education.
Yeah. It makes you wonder what on earth he would do. Yeah.
Well, there's plenty about now who actually, even when they are in teaching, think that their opinion has to be ramped in, just like he does in Doctor Who when it's
Yes, I noticed that. I used to work in education as well. And I did a load of cover teaching assistant and TA, the same thing, and teaching and whatnot. And worked in childcare and things like that. And I saw things and I was like, no, I'm leaving. Bye.
yeah.
Yeah.
I will always tell the truth. I wish I could say that every teacher took their job in the way that the taxpayer expected.
Yeah.
Okay then. So that's RTD for you. Now this one, there were two cases that have come up recently. There's the drama series called Adolescence. And there's various issues. And I have to say, what do they call this? Race swapping? Where basically the Netflix drama Adolescence has a white kid who basically has almost been, turned hard, and he's a toxic kid. But actually, most of the cases, what this drama is based on, didn't quite necessarily have that skin color.
With with the child.
Yeah, as in the drama is based mostly on a few events that have actually happened.
Yeah. I've not watched it, so
Yeah,
I've not followed
I
any of this. Yeah.
I haven't watched it, but
Mm.
I've heard enough but the cases they're built on actually have a slightly different ethnicity, but it might be
I
a
get what you're getting
problem.
at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we can have Anne Boleyn who's black, we can have Queen Elizabeth I who's black, and
Yeah.
as you know, we can do various things. But
Yeah.
when it comes to a baddie possibly being black,
They've swapped
that's a
it.
problem for
Yeah.
2025. So it's okay for it to be a white kid when
Yeah.
actually the statistics are not quite helpful on that score.
Yeah.
And this is another agenda thing. So the culture can be getting eroded. Churchill can go and clear off. Blah, 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 blah. And on top of that, we have to have history rewritten. Where are we going? Where are we going with this?
Oh, I don't know why they do this. Yeah, it's because, well, with this, it's because you're not allowed to now paint the the black person or the other person of color as the bad person, and you got to change it to the white because the white people are bad. But the truth is, in reality, that's not a correct representation. You get bad people across all races. It
Yes.
does not matter.
Yes.
Yeah, so they should
Nobody
really depict it as such, you know.
nobody has a monopoly on evil. Nobody has a monopoly on goodness.
This child, when he grows up and he actually does more research into what's going on with this, he'll probably find out, he will. He'll be surprised, I reckon.
So, just like we can have a female Macbeth, just like we can take paintings down, just like we can change language,
Mm,
just like we can say that men
mhm.
presenting can be asked if they're pregnant because that just doesn't offend. And the list goes on and on and
Yeah,
on. When
it
it
does.
comes to true crime statistics and crime representation, we have to trust representation. And but while it doesn't offend some people, it offends others because we're going, hold on a minute.
Yeah, to them this would be offensive, wouldn't it? That
Why they're thinking this? Just present it as was in the blooming facts. And when if it's somebody who's a criminal who happens to be black, just present it. When it's a
they're,
white criminal, present it as white.
they're
When they
tr-
do, can I just say, Rachel, when
yeah,
they do Jack the Ripper in all of their presentations, has he ever been black yet? No.
no,
So
because that would be
what's this nonsense?
unrealistic.
Yeah, but this is mad.
Yeah, no, they're just changing things. They're doing this for brownie points. They're treading on, they're avoiding treading on toes and offending people.
And offending others at the same time.
Yeah. Oh
Oh,
yeah,
oh,
yeah. They don't think it like about it like that. They don't think, oh well, if we change it to a white person, then that won't be offensive to these people. But then it's not, you know. But then it could very well be offensive to the white person.
and then it was one of the most horrible cases. Our Southport case this year,
Yeah.
last year, it was bloody awful what
Yes.
happened.
Awful.
So
Yeah.
I'm not naming him and all the rest of it, but as you know, the press played a game with us a bit, and they didn't show him as he looked now. They showed you him as this nice little choir boy, didn't they?
Oh
In
yeah,
the,
they did. Yeah.
and so again, they may not change the color of skin, but they play around with the representation,
Yeah.
and
Yeah. They do. Mm.
this is wrong. This is bad. This is actually doing the 1984 ignorance is truth stuff. 2 and 2 plus, it makes 5. Boomer Doug, I see your point here, Brendan, but this was a superb piece of drama. Fine, yeah, and deals with this issue sensitively. Again, fine. Again, my question is, why did they feel a need to just doctor a bit? Stephen Graham's performance as the father of a murderer will break your heart. I totally get it, and even our prime minister has said his kids have watched it, but it's just, why do they feel a need? These directors, these lovies, why do they need to stick their oar in? Are they gods of society or something? I know RTD is, but what, all of them? Wow. And then none of them stand for parliament. Isn't it amazing? All these genius script writers and ITV directors and everything. Wow.
I think they do half of what they do so that they can keep getting jobs.
Oh, you mean the cowards?
The-
Oh, I get it now.
Well, yeah, conformity, isn't it? More
Yes.
than anything. And they're going to struggle with me because I won't do that.
No, well, me and you both. At least we're honest. The trouble
Yeah,
is we're honest, but we're not in jobs. In that job anyway, if you get my
yeah.
gist. Um, well, here you go. You the gender swaps continue, or should I say the race swaps continue? Invincible co-creator Robert Kirkman stands by race swapping in Amazon's animated adaptation. We have to recognize that a couple of dumb white guys made this comic book in the early 2000s, so they now have
Right,
to change it.
right. Okay,
It just
so
feels like the tide in anything I find is all one way.
of course it is. They could just make a new character and put the new character into it. Why do they need to change one that already exists? They
Ex-
don't.
Exactamon. And then you sent me this item, Lilo and Stitch.
Yeah.
And again, what the character's now too light skinned?
Yep. Yep, that's right. Yeah, so they're mad. They're pretty mad. So these are the same types of people, in my opinion, who would tell you off for complaining that we've got a half Polish, half Latina actress for Snow White, but then they moan because the actress for Nanny in Lilo and Stitch and the actor for oh, what's he called? Oh, you've got it on Kai. I don't know how to say it. Kahyao. I don't know. I butchered that. But them being light skinned, and they were too light or too white, and it's just like, oh my goodness. Now the irony behind this is that the Nanny actress actually grew up in Hawaii. She's half Filipino, half white. But apparently that still wasn't enough. So Disney, commend Disney, are actually trying to do something right.
Mhm.
And they're like, no, that's wrong.
It does make you wonder when we go to our favorite subject of Doctor Who,
Mm,
whether Disney are the baddies or whether it was RTD all along. Actually, it does make you wonder,
does make you wonder. Yeah, it
and
does.
maybe Disney doing season 3, if that is the way it ends up being manipulated, is good, because obviously the rumor is if Disney do season 3, there'll be no RTD in sight.
That's true. I think he'll be gone.
Well,
I
I
think he
think
is
about
gone.
time. Yeah,
Yeah.
about time. Because all this hocus pocus that's getting done and everything, Lilo and Stitch,
Yeah.
why are we talking about melanin levels in? I mean, honestly, it's so superficial, it's ridiculous.
Oh, it's absolutely ridiculous. And they're saying that they've been spray tanned for this. I mean, come on. Ugh. And like, if they have been spray tanned for this, because their skin could just change in the sun,
Yeah.
they didn't complain about being spray tanned for it. A lot of people would perhaps complain.
I just give up, because the issues you've had as an actress, and you've seen, audition processes nowadays and tick lists and stuff, and you realize that now you have to be the right ethnic coloring and every. It's getting a bit purist. It's getting a bit
Yes.
Puritan. It's getting a bit dangerous. It's getting sinister.
So don't get me wrong. If you can, like, say, if they were doing Snow White, like, as Snow White should be done, and
Yeah,
they decided to have a German actress do it, there wouldn't be a problem with that. I don't think that's necessarily wrong,
yeah.
you know? If you can get someone from that particular country, great, good, do it as it should be.
Oh, I know.
But I mean, with regards to casting, you have a certain description to me, with Snow White, it is skin as white as snow. I could
Yeah.
technically go for Snow I'm too old for Snow White, but I could technically go for Snow White if I wanted to, you know? I mean, I'm not 14, but hey ho, I could try.
Well, it happened in reverse with Bugsy Malone, so I think you can do
Yeah,
it. I think you can do
I
it.
think so, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, Big Finish might start doing Snow White stuff. So there you go, folks. As Lily Shamble said, I said Lilo. You know what I'm thinking of a beach. She said it's more Lilo. But there you go. Now the other item, it's your favorite. No, is it your favorite item at the moment on your channel?
I don't know.
Snow White.
Oh, Snow White. Yes, it is a
Oh,
w
that's Snow White. That's
maybe
Snow White.
not that.
No,
What's
Snow White is coming up. But I just wanted to show you the woke is everywhere. He's no longer the Prime Minister of Canada, but he did spend 11 billion on overseas gender programs, because that's how you. Isn't that like missionary stuff in the old days?
Yeah.
Yeah. And just to show you that the fairness in Britain is so strong nowadays, the like I said, the race swapping that goes on and
Yeah.
all of it. Foreign doctors are revealed to be behind 60% of all sexual assaults on patients, but the NHS wants fewer of them taken to disciplinary hearings. Just like them pre-sentencing
Right.
reports. I mean, two-tier justice.
Yeah, no, that's two-tier justice for sure.
But there you go. And I've just left
Good
education.
Oh,
Now,
yeah. Mm,
yeah, it's just
mm.
interesting to observe.
I've seen
Um,
a lot of that on
we're a
the
very
left.
racist country, don't you know? We're
Yeah.
so racist that nobody from a certain ethnicities can get anywhere. Really bad country
Oh,
we are.
yes. The one on the left, right, has been put up around my town.
Really?
Yeah.
Ex-
On bus stops. And it says that. Yeah, that's the one.
oh my
Yeah.
gosh. I didn't
Yeah,
know you
yeah.
were. The, the,
No.
the, the,
And they've been out on a Saturday in the street with a stand, and they've got all these books about the Quran.
yeah.
Yeah, and they're handing out to white people.
The thing is, you can accept in a way things happening if you didn't then ban and have everybody else in Britain embarrassed to actually say the word Christmas.
Mm,
And have a Christmas festival and Christmas holidays. And you know where I'm going with this.
yeah.
And, you know, Regent Street, instead of just having stars at Christmas, would actually say Happy Christmas.
Yes.
It will say Happy Ramadan, but it won't say Happy Christmas anymore. I then think culturally, one side is getting more kind of
Yeah.
benefit.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what I mean. So it
Yeah.
is trust in Allah as a
Yeah.
poster near you.
Yeah.
I'm pointing that out because half the time, if you put Christmas up or something else, people are offended.
Yes. Yeah, and you're not allowed to do it.
But that if I was offended, and I'm not saying I am, but if I'm offended by that poster, it will not come down.
No, of course it
You
won't.
just know it
It will
won't.
stay there.
So we have a two-tier society,
Yeah.
two-tiered justice, two-tier lots of things at the moment. I don't know if I should change the show from that was the week it was woke,
To
but two-tier,
two-tier.
yeah,
Two-tier.
two-tier transmission. So there you go. Now your favorite subject, as I promised.
Snow woke. I mean, Snow White.
Yeah, I mean she's not been up to any mischief lately, has she?
Oh, she might have done a few things, yeah.
I mean, she's the gift that keeps giving, but not for
Yeah.
Disney.
No, it's must really annoy them actually in many respects. You know,
Oh.
I've heard along the grapevine that she has been told to zip it multiple times, and that's not gone very well at all.
Well, no,
It
but
it
she
didn't
can't.
work. It worked for about five minutes, and that was it.
Yeah, she can't help herself, can she? So, as we all know, folks, and if you follow Rachel on Chat About It, Don't Shout About It, she has. I mean, she's done some streams on it this week, I know.
Yeah.
And Snow White, Rachel Ziegler, is it Zegler?
Zegler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It all started on the red carpet once when she talked about you know what. She made it sound as, but
Weird. Yeah.
yeah, weird. And of course now it's the fun bit. Remember, they weren't allowed dwarves either, were they? In the
No.
So we're at the point where Disney has spent a bomb changing it, reshooting, and all the rest of it, and now they've got. As I said here, Disney cancels the UK Snow White premiere amid backlash and fears of a negative press. So they're limiting them to very tightly
Yeah.
controlled press events,
Yeah.
which
Yes. Which
I
is
mean,
horrible. And they're
well,
trying to make it sound like it was mostly Gal Gadot, some of these press releases, and it's like, she didn't really
yeah,
do
the
anything.
movie's called Snow White,
Yeah.
and yet it's the evil stepmother who seems to be getting more publicity.
Yeah, I can't think why though. And that's
Uh,
sarcasm. Yeah, I do actually know why.
yeah.
But
So there's a lot of money involved. So
yes.
because so much money's been invested, it is quite a surprise that they're so low key about it. And you know, it's almost like it's a red hot potato, and they really don't know how to deal with this.
Yes. Martin Kleber, who is the one dwarf that voices all the dwarfs that were originally cut and then put back in. He said that the reason why they were having a scale back premiere was because of the controversies surrounding Rachael. So that has been confirmed. He doesn't know the entire ins and outs, but that's what he said.
Yeah. So yes, I mean there were so many offensive things really about it. So yes, they're in full damage control mode.
Yes, they are.
Snow White is shaping up to be one of Disney's most financially and publicly disastrous releases in years.
Yes.
And so they really don't want little teeny weeny Doctor Who to start playing silly devils.
No, they don't.
So they might just say, doesn't RTD look tired?
They might just say that.
Yeah, I think they've been saying that maybe a bit loudly, actually. And can we have the back catalogue of Doctor Who as well? So
Yes, please.
if Snow White were a highly anticipated blockbuster, Disney would be doing everything possible to build excitement. Instead, they're avoiding potentially negative reactions from audiences to
Yeah.
try and manipulate the event. But there's
Yep.
the wonderful actress.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
wonderful.
Lord Farquaad.
Yeah. So they've, as it says, damage control, but of course they're concerned about the public perception of Rachael, Zegler, whatever. Let's call the whole thing
Yeah.
off.
Yeah, and that's their problem.
Well, here you've got
That is,
complications from the Middle Eastern conflict. I didn't know that both actresses had said opposing things.
yes, they not Gal Gadot so much, but Rachel definitely.
Right, because it says here Ziegler and Gadot have expressed opposing views on the ongoing Middle Eastern conflict. Can you imagine Disney going, shut up, stop it?
Stop talking, don't talk about it. You see, I understand why Gal does, right? Without going into it.
Yeah.
'Cause I'm not going to go into it. I understand why Gal does, but Rachel, especially when your co-star
Yeah.
is is from Israel. I will say that,
Yeah.
right? Why do you need to be antagonistic? You've got to work together and you've got to, promote this film, and suddenly you're saying something like that. Oh dear, that's going to make it even harder. I mean, from what I understand, they just worked together. They didn't really get on, but I think from what I understand, this made it worse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And isn't this the danger sometimes with actors? When they're away from their script, they need to fill that empty space between their heads with virtues and speeches about stuff half the time they don't know much about.
Yeah,
And
that's the problem.
yeah,
Yeah.
sometimes you think, just tell us about the script. Snow White.
Hmm.
Snow White, what did she do? She sang a song, did she? Oh, lovely. Just
Very
stick to
nice.
this. Just stick to that, because that's all you know, really, Rachel Ziegler. And it's much safer. Now,
This is why a lot of people, ask me why I don't cover certain things on my channel. And the reason why I don't is because I don't know enough about it. And whilst I could go and do the research for it, I still wouldn't be confident enough to say that I know a lot about it. I cover a lot of entertainment because that's
yeah,
my expertise. I cover a lot of trans stuff. And that's because obviously there's things in that affects everyone, I think.
yeah.
And I cover I do a lot of TikTok reactions. I haven't done any TikTok reactions recently, but I have done them in the past and I enjoy doing those. So I stick to what I know about.
And that's why I'm mostly a Doctor Who channel. I've got a politics degree. I'll wade into politics and a bit of TV, but that's it.
Yeah.
I'm not one of those. I think you've got two streamers here who we will not wade into an area we're not informed on, because that's where fools lie.
Yeah, and you're just going to make yourself look like a
Yeah,
complete tit,
yeah,
for the want of a better word.
yeah.
Ha!
The Lily Shambles here was maybe trying to give us a bit of a titter. I once did a roller skating show when I was a kid, and it was Snow White. I was a dwarf, and for some reason I was cast as Grumpy. How dare that? I mean, yeah,
Oh,
I know. I was Herod when I was in the nativity play at school, and I was King Herod.
really?
I hate every other kid in school. Sean
I was
Cryer, Snow
locked.
White. But Sean Cryer, no, this is why we peaks. We've got the Queen of the Woke on. She's discussed Snow White several times, and this is the week of Woke, and so Snow White is a gift. Now, Paul Mabley, I don't know if you know the answer to this, Rachel. Are they going to remake The Son of the South?
Unlikely.
Max the mark.
I don't think so. Wasn't that one that they pulled?
I think it was actually.
Which is, I think he won an award for it as well, the
Yeah,
actor.
yeah.
Which is sad, actually.
Now, Tim, the bizarrely ironic part is that Ziegler is apparently the best part of a film made of so many badly judged elements. They should have sold it by just having her meet little girls and doing her interviews.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, too late, I think. So, a major red flag for Snow White. Disney cancelling the Snow White UK premiere is not a routine decision. It's because they're expecting a
Yes.
backlash. And then you've got here the Zegler problem. She's been widely criticised for her comments dismissing the 1937 classic, describing the prince as a guy who literally stalks Snow White.
Yes.
She's also expressed open disapproval of the film's original themes. Snow White isn't dreaming about true love, but is focused on leadership. I remember this at the time, Rachel. Leadership.
Yeah, I know, right? They're going to overthrow the evil queen.
So is woke, when we look at nearly every item tonight, it's about rewriting and
Yeah,
erasing and revising, isn't it?
there's a lot of this strong, independent woman going on in entertainment at the moment, and so they're changing a lot of things. And this is a bit bizarre because this is a period piece technically, so really theoretically that wouldn't happen. I mean,
Mm.
it's a fairy tale anyway, but well, there you go.
Oh, well, I've now been promoted to Prime Minister, so do you want to be in my cabinet?
I will, yes.
You could,
Deputy.
do you want to replace Rachel Reeves and put Winston Churchill back up on the wall?
Um, there is someone else I would like to replace as well.
Only one.
No, Antonia Romeo, and I would also like to replace Rachel Reeves.
Yeah. Yes, I've got a list.
Mm.
Yeah.
Stole
Oh,
my title.
I saw a photograph today where they showed a screenshot from the movie where she's no longer in a glass coffin. She's just on a rock.
Oh, is she? I actually haven't seen it yet, so I've put it to the poll, but if I should go and watch it or not. But yeah,
I think I'm already voting then. She has to go. You have to go and watch it. I think you've talked about it so much. I think you should go and watch it.
yeah, I might risk it. I will leave the poll to decide. If they say yes, I'll go and see it. If they say no, I will not go and see it. It does not bother me whatsoever.
I think they'll want you to go and see it. You know what our followers are like. They want us to
I
go there.
know. Torture.
So yes.
No, it'll be fine.
So yes, she's been the liability. God, she's your star and she's a liability. But the truth is though, Rachel, it everything's because of all this woke nonsense. What's happening is whether you're a nice person, whether you've got a decent kind of reputation, shouldn't really matter. Isn't it about the product? Isn't it about whether that it's well made? Isn't it about whether the songs are sung well? Do you know what I mean? We've got it,
Yeah.
it's all meshed together.
Yeah.
Surely in the past we had people who weren't
Sorry.
exactly the most decent people, but that on screen, for example, they were brilliant.
Yeah, sorry, my
Yeah.
front light's gone out. Oh, yeah.
But
Yeah,
this is what I mean.
I
It's
agree.
getting stupid. Tim has actually said Brendan for Prime Minister, but Rachel for Culture Secretary. There you go. Yeah. Oh God, she'll rewrite history. She'll
I will.
change all of culture. Oh my God. We'll have paintings and everything back up in seconds.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
That's
Oh,
I
there's
know. This so far. Oh, this girl got stalked. This girl. Oh, honestly. So it's just
yeah,
mad.
I know. Oh, look at that picture. That is the worst picture.
That's it. Disney fans. I, I mean, the Disney fans are just waiting for her to do stuff like this.
Of course, that's what they're waiting for.
She's obviously been told pay homage to the original
Yes,
after calling it weird,
yes.
and this doesn't look weird at all, does it?
No, of course not. Absolutely not. So I sent this to you, didn't I? I think
Yeah, yeah.
actually, yeah. So this is something that she did on her Instagram, and it was about 4 days ago now. And she was saying that she was going to pay homage to the original Snow White, Adriana Casalotti, and so this is how she presented herself with a slightly off the shoulder grey top, red bow, hair curled up like that. I mean, absolutely fine. However, this is how she should have started
Yeah.
with all the PR. Not anything else that she had done. If she had said this at the very beginning, I don't think there would be half the trouble that we've got now.
No, And they all have PR, publicity people, they have marketing departments.
Yeah.
How do they get themselves into such a mess? Or is it that some people cannot be controlled, i.e., RTD? You know, the BBC will have a marketing department, the BBC will have a PR department,
Mm.
but I tell you what, certain people in the BBC seem to say what the hell they want.
Yeah, they seem to. Yeah.
So yes, it's interesting, isn't it? That it's just too late. What do they say? There's so many sayings about this, aren't there, Rachel? You know, the horse has already bolted. You know, the cat's out the bag. I don't know. It goes on and on and on and on, but it's
Yeah,
over.
it's
It's
too
over.
late. It's like I say, she should have just started with that. And I think people's issues would just be over the fact that they didn't cast a white lady as Snow White. And I
I
don't think
wonder
that would
why.
have necessarily led to a massive boycott of the movie. You look at Halle Bailey, who played the Little Mermaid, Ariel, and in the live action one, she was fine. She was like, "Hey, I like the character, so it's all right, isn't it?"
Yeah.
Even if she did face any backlash, she didn't make a big hoo-ha or a song or dance about it. She didn't go on this political march and whatever. She didn't do any of that.
No.
She behaved. And
So
she's the same age, maybe a little bit older than Rachel.
well, we've come to that point when, please, everybody, we've got two channels going on here. Please subscribe to both. Please like both. Please support both. We've given you 2 hours entertainment here on your Friday night, full of researched woke stuff. And I think hopefully we're talking common sense and representing you all. So thanks for being with us, everybody. But me and Rachel and the thread, we need to make our decision now of the wokest of them all. Now, I know at the beginning you had the problems, so I'll go bigger here. So I'll just go down the list and then everyone in the thread, tell us your decision. Is it that John Barrowman, is put under pressure? I don't regret anything. Everyone had a laugh. And he's getting asked about him flashing and stuff like that. Or is it race swapping in TV drama and comics? Or is it the banter police in pubs? Or is it that Shakespeare's birthplace is now getting decolonized? Or is it because Thomas the Tank has a Kenyan friend engine? Is it Snow White's damage limitation marketing? Is it BBC apologising to Izzard? Is it the RTD political rant about dark times? Is it Oscar committee members appalled by woke nominees? So, Rachel, what are your thoughts?
Okay, so there's quite a few here. Jeez Louise.
I know. I make it harder every time.
Yeah, you do. I think can I just say it all? No, I can't do that. I can't do that. That's wrong. I'm going to go with yeah, I'm going to go with the Snow White stuff.
Yeah.
And then my close second, I think, would be, because I do have a second, it would be the Shakespeare's birthplace decolonised.
Yeah. As an English teacher, I am finding up. You see, if you attack Shakespeare, Shakespeare invented 44% of the English language.
A lot, yeah, he did a lot.
And if we're now decolonizing anything to do with Shakespeare, we're actually butchering our own language, literally. We're actually saying we're embarrassed by it.
Yeah.
I don't hear other countries doing that. So this is silly. It's an attack on people and their happiness at going to the theatre and studying stuff. So yes, I have to kind of give that an honourable mention. But the one that really has got me going, and it did in the Bigenerates, and it will forevermore, is our good old RTD showrunner, because he talks about dark times. And as I keep saying, I've been lucky. I've had gay rights for nearly, 20 odd years, 30 years if you go all the way back to the 67, but properly.
Yeah.
You can have gay adoption, you can have gay marriage, which I actually utilized last year. So I've got nothing to moan about. What I'm concerned about is a backlash against that whole acronym, because some people are getting peed off with it.
Yeah.
So what dark times is he waffling on about? We've faced nuclear war threats. We've faced the Blitz. We've faced invasion. We've faced loads of threats. And he's saying these are dark times. Dear, calm down, hysteria, stop it. And
Yeah,
stop,
exactly. And you're talking about another country.
yeah, and stop scaring the kids, for God's
It's
sake.
fear mongering.
Yes, exactly. And it's unnecessary. I was scared in the 80s of a nuclear bomb coming and not being under a desk, because a desk was going to save us.
Mm.
And you had to get your tins of beans in just in case. I mean, who wants to survive if there's radiation everywhere? But as long as you have your baked beans, you might just last a bit longer.
Barbecue baked beans. I do like those.
Yeah. So basically,
Sorry, I don't know why I felt like telling you all that.
so as part of my mopping up tonight, before I asked Rachel what she's got streaming next on hers, I'm back, and Rachel will be back with us, won't you, Rachel, on 6 o'clock on Sunday?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Just to advertise, that's a detox this morning. And it was a fun one. I was laughing all the time. And so please have a good look at that. But on Sunday, we will be live at 6. There's only one place to be on Sunday at 6, and it's the Sense Sphere. Yeah. There'll be a very tasty topic, I guarantee you. So get that notification in. Rachel will be here giving us good value. She'll have just been streaming herself earlier, and I'm going to ask her about that in a moment. But basically, Sunday at 6, Sense Sphere. You know it makes sense. Now, Rachel, what's coming up on your channel?
So Sunday, Doctor Who Sunday, we are looking at The Unquiet Dead, which is the Christopher Eccleston story, which I very much enjoyed rewatching. I hadn't seen it for a while. That's all written, it's all recorded, just got to edit it. And I'm putting on some short ones because I'm trying to prep for the trial of the Time Lord, and it takes a long time doing that. I don't even know what direction I'm going to go in. And then we'll be back to the woke news on Monday.
Good old woke news.
Yeah.
Well, Daniel Wright discovered us. I mean, when we pair off like this, I mean, Daniel Wright's obviously one of your followers, but my first dose of Brendan, good medicine, going to look him up. I've done 246 shows in 1 year, retired teacher. We've got puppets, we've got humor, we've got cheek, we've got Rachel on for quite a while now, for good on a year almost. Yeah.
Almost a year, yeah.
So basically, welcome. Give us a subscription. Come on. Anyway, so Sunday live at 6. I'm live nearly every day at the moment. But anyway, but do have a look at our streams, both of us.
4 p.m. for me every Monday to Wednesday at the moment, and then I do some other stuff on the Thursday to Saturday.
And one thing I say to our followers, which is, please, the best publicity you can have is word of mouth.
Yeah.
If everybody just reposts our adverts, so if everybody just says, check out Chat About It, Shout About It, and check out the Sense Sphere, me and Rachel will be eternally grateful. Oh, thank you, because I think both of us are quite prolific, and I don't think we drop our quality either at the same time.
No.
If you want common sense, we're here, but also a laugh. Daniel Wright, I call them the Who Pets. Rachel has come across them, haven't you, Rachel?
Yes, I have. I have encountered them. I was just reading what Peter was saying to me as well.
We've got Daniel, we've got the Shooty puppet. It's allowed. He regenerated in one of my shorts when he broke a nail. And he came out of the G-Spot gay nightclub having kissed a bloke. And honestly, we've got it all. So please join us. Good to see you. And it's been a pleasure. So, Rachel, yet again, it's great to catch up with you after Belfast.
Yes.
And we're back.
Yeah, we're back. Woohoo!
We're back. Do you feel primed and ready for the new season of Doctor Who?
Can I get back to you on that?
Well, it's going to be 8 hellish, interesting weeks, isn't it?
I will do what I always do, and I will look at it with a fair mind.
Yes, well, we will.
Yeah.
And we judge it like that. So Daniel Wright, who's still with us, we do reviews, and Rachel's one of my scorers. It's great. It's great. So, as PD is saying, stop, shut your mouth. Time to go. Sounds like Zebedee, doesn't it? It's time to go to bed. Okay, then, everybody, thank you for joining us. It's been a pleasure. It's been an interesting day. I think I'll stop streaming now for at least two minutes.
Yeah, you need a break.
I need to go and find a life. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh God. There's a vacuum. Oh, right. Okay. Thank you, Rachel. And thank you, the thread. See you all again. I feel as though we're making new friends. Good night.
Good night. Bye.